have been familiar with this, we try to sketch it, correct? Let's put it this way. How about I want to have a front zipper skirt. How do I do that? Am I gonna draw every little square of that teeth? No, I'm not. Because it's too tedious. So this is when we do a brush. A brush is, everyone's familiar with seamless patterns? Think of it that way. It's a seamless pattern that you can use to draw in Illustrator. So I'm just gonna draw the teeth, okay? The teeth are very simple. It's just rectangles. So I'm just gonna play with the color here, and I'm just gonna give it a little bit of stroke. And that's it. I'm not doing that much with the teeth. You can make it as pretty as possible if you want. There's people that even put like highlights into it so it looks like it's reflecting. Up to you. It just needs to be a repeat, meaning from top to bottom, if you were to duplicate it, it'll be the same all over again. Seamless. So you don't know where it begins or where it stops, okay? So for example, if this is the teeth, let me just make it closer to what that is. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Because think about it. If I were to repeat this, if you want to check yourself, look. Ta-da! It's the same thing over and over again, correct? So find the repeat. This is the repeat. This is not the repeat. Yes, JJ.
I have an unrelated question.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to use photos that I use in my customer profile?
Yes. Yes. You just do whatever you need, as long as it looks beautiful.
Okay.
I just want beautiful presentations. That's all I care about.
Okay.
Okay, so you see that's the repeat. If I were to move this, if I were to add a third one, I want you to see it. Yes, and move it around. It's not gonna look like a repeat. It looks like a mistake. So you guys need to understand where is your repeat. So from here to here is a repeat. And then, guess what? We're gonna go into our windows and put brushes. And it's right here. So what do? I'm gonna make this horizontal. Why? Because the brush, that's how it works. Everyone has I think most of you have used Procreate, correct? Most of you have used Procreate at home? For the most part? Okay, for those who have used Procreate, it's like a brush that you use to make the same pattern, and you need to make it sure that it's horizontal so you can go about up, down, forwards, up. And you understand what I mean? I'll show you what I mean, the difference, so you can really see visually. All right. So you select it, and you drag it in, and you put pattern brush. You see this little situation right here. You can see the preview of your brush, and it looks a little weird, and you'll notice, I'll tell you why. Look at my brush. It's going the other way, correct? So when that happens, that means that your pattern needs to rest on the side. It needs to rest horizontal. So when you go pattern brush, you go okay, and you'll notice what I mean. Look, I go back to brush, I click on this, ta-da, zipper. I can even do a circle and whatever I want. Instead of me drawing every little teeth, this is how I'm doing it, okay? Now, some of you might be like, oh, but professor, that's a little big. Yeah, it is. So what we're gonna do is, look, there's a line. I just drew it with my pen. I click on the right zipper, done. That's a brush. If I double click on the brush, I can even play with the scale. If you see scale, look, done. Everything's automated. You understand? So yeah.
Your brushes automatically save?
Yes, because you're putting it right there. So it will be saved automatically to this file. You understand? So yeah.
Like if you open a new page?
No. But you can drag the file. For example, I'm going to show you, because that's a good question, Michael. So for example,
Yeah, I still know you made it too far.
it was that simple, that's why. So,
Not that simple.
It is. You're overthinking it. So, okay, so let's just put it here so you guys can see. I made two rectangles. I made it. That's it. I drew it. I went to the brush, which is right here. I selected both. That's my seamless pattern. I click and drag, and then automatically say new brush. I will put pattern brush, not scatter brush, pattern brush. That's seamless patterns. We're gonna do the scatter brush in a bit. So then, and we put OK. And then it tells us what it's doing. And like I mentioned, you need to have your brush on the sideways, not vertical but horizontal for it to be seamless. So this way it doesn't change directions on you. And it will make sense if you use things like Procreate. Okay, so, and same thing, and I put OK. I go to brush or I press B. Brush is right here, guys. I'm gonna show you, right here. Once I have brush, done. I can draw it, I can select it. There's also other brushes that you can familiarize yourself with. Look at that. Guess what? That's also a brush that's default. Everyone has this brush, by the way. It's a default brush. But you can see it's only one stroke. It's not 10 million strokes. Now you understand? Okay. Now, for example, I want this brush to be smaller. So what I do is double click on the brush and go into scale, and I just make it smaller here. I can make it smaller as I want to. That's it. Done. And I can use apply strokes. What does that mean? This means any strokes that you've done will be applied to this scale. You understand? That's what it means. That means to apply all strokes. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna change it now to, so I'm just gonna change this quickly, and I'm gonna draw everything from scratch. I'm gonna move this, I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna spin it. Huh? So then you put it here, and you just can go. That's it. And you can even use direct select tool too. Done. Revolutionary. You see that? Okay, done. You can do the same thing. Everyone has done double stitch, correct? You can do this too. Double stitch, and you copy it. Let's do that. If we do 2 stitches at once, and we put it as a brush, pattern brush. Okay, done. So let me play with this. Look at that. It looks like a line, but you know why? You need to put a space in it. But why they couldn't do it? It's not seamless. So I'm basically telling you, these two are friends forever. This is the seamless repeat. If you're not sure, you can always copy it. I need to give them space. How do I do that? I create a rectangle in the back that is not filled in. It's invisible, so it's invisible, but Illustrator is saying there's an object in the bottom, in the back. Still, it's not visible, but it's giving me the space. So if you were to pattern brush this, now it has the space. See that? You have to start thinking, is there space? Is there no space? How do I put space in between that I don't have to think about? Same thing here. I just make it smaller or bigger. You can even affect your scales. You see scale strokes if you double click, which is the scale right here, scale. You put scale and strokes, that's it. Or you can click on what you want it to be, correct? That's really big. So what I do, I double click and I move the scale. That's it. Now, instead of me copying the line, I just have one stroke instead of 2. Okay? I know this is, it'll get easier. Just try your best on creating one brush. It can be the simplest brush ever. Now, let's do a button really quickly. I want a pretty button. But you've noticed the tinier the things are, the harder are to select, correct? So what happens if I want, yes, I just want a beautiful button that is, yeah, let's see. Go to metals. Metals, by the way, gradients and metals are in Windows, Swatch Library. Gradients, go to metals. And that's that. I just chose that one because that's the one that I want. Let's put 0.5. And you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to change this to 0.5. Remember, it's all about the stroke weight to notice what's the inside, what's the outside, that kind of thing. Okay? And I'm just going to copy this. But then it doesn't look like a real button, so maybe I'm just gonna put like a little bit of a rim. Or if you want something more easier or not so constructed, we have the pen tool. We're gonna use the pen tool when you come back more. Because guess what? The pen tool goes anywhere. Look at that. That's the pen tool. Okay? You just draw on top. It's just drawing in your keyboard. That's all you're doing. It just translates for very tiny sections that you don't want to do. And then let's just say I want this, I showed this last week, I'm making different points. There you go. I can even make this smaller by typing it in. Even there you go, done. That's my button. What happens with this button? I can make this button, I can group it, but you notice how much work I have to do. I have to copy and paste just to put a button, correct? What do? It's a brush. We go put the brush, but instead of pattern brush, we're gonna put scatter brush. And oh, sorry. So I need to make, that means that it cannot be gradient. It means it needs to be solid. So that's fine. I'm just gonna change this to a solid. That's fine. It's an ugly button, but it's okay. We don't have time today to show you how to do a gradient. So then we go OK, done. What does that mean? If we go here, we go to brush, and I select the button, look what happens. I just clicky anywhere. Look what happens when I look at the lines. It's not a line, it's a dot. Okay? Let's just say you want rhinestones all day. You just create the rhinestone and you just click, click, click with your brush. That's all you do. Now you understand, this is a little bit I want you to understand. You can use this for top stitches, zippers, ruffles. At one point I showed that last week with Nani's Illustrator file. So many ways to go about it. I just need one brush. You can do, the easiest one to do would be the top stitch, if you want to, okay? Is it a lot? Yeah, you'll get used to it. Okay, but just one brush in any of the sketches that you have, anything. You can even add a button out of nowhere if you want. It's okay.